Salut et bienvenue. Dans cette leçon, nous allons parler de la prononciation de la lettre E en français sous ses différentes formes. In this lesson, we'll be talking about the pronunciation of the letter E with some variations to pronunciation. You got it? Let's go. When you say the alphabet, you know, the ABC, when you say it in French, we say A, B, C, D, E. Now, this letter is said as if you wanted to say O, but then say E instead. So it's with rounded lips. Lèvres arrondies. Rounded lips. So try to say O, but then say E instead. So E. 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 Now, this letter in French is pronounced E. And it's one of the most important vowels in French because you find it almost everywhere. In your conjugation, you find it in your vocabulary. It's very important. So let's get it right. Let's have a look at a few examples of how the sound changes. Now, normally we say this letter at the beginning of the word, in the middle of the word, it will have the sound of E. E. But at the end of a word, this letter is not pronounced at all. So E or E at the end of a word in French is not pronounced unless it has an accent. You got it right? If it has an accent, then we can change the sound. Let's have a look at a few examples. Now we say the sound is E. E. This is the same sound you find in when we talked about les articles définis, le. And then me, te, se. Do you get the sound? Let's go over it again. Le, me, te, se. You get it right? Now, let's look at a different example. This time around, we want to look at that letter E with an accent. Now, this accent, some people get it confused with another accent. So let's have a look at how to determine which is which. This is accent aigu in French. Accent aigu is upward sloping. Upward sloping is accent aigu. When you're saying it fast, you do the liaison, you connect your sound, you say accent aigu. Accent aigu, accent aigu. Now, if it is placed on this letter E, it takes the sound of E. So this time around, we don't have rounded lips. We have spread lips. Lèvres écartées. Lèvres écartées. E. E. And you hear this sound in words like baby. Baby. Été. Été. Télé. Télé. Dé. Dé. Let's go over it again. Bébé. Bébé. Été. Été. Télé. Télé. And dé. Dé. You got it right? Now, let's have a look at another case where it's got an accent. Now, this accent is called accent grave. Accent grave. This is the downward sloping one. This downward sloping one, the one we talked about before was upward sloping. This one is downward sloping. And when it's placed on E or U, it gives it the sound of E. E. Now, don't get the sounds confused. The first one we discussed was E. Now, this one is E. E. Let's have a look at a few examples. Mère. Mère. Père. Père. Frère. Frère. Lèvres. Lèvres. You want to say it again? Mère. Mère. Père. Père. have a look at another one, another accent in French. Now, this one is called, the real name is accent circumflexe. Accent circumflexe. And when it's placed on E, it gives it the sound of eh, just like the one before. Now, how is it different from the other one? It's really no difference at all. Sometimes it's placed there to differentiate between spellings, with words, like two words sound exactly the same. That is placed on it to differentiate. Sometimes if you look at the original language, that word is taken from, there's an S right before the E, like in forêt. Forêt, you see the little thing there, accent circumflex. It's because in the language that word is borrowed from, there's an S after the E. That's one other case. So in primary school, we tell kids that it's accent chapeau, chapeau, like a hat. Chapeau is a hat in English, so they can understand what it looks like. But the real name, the official name, is accent circumflex. It's also accent chapeau. That's acceptable. Accent circumflex. So it has the sound of eh, just like the one before. So let's have a look at a few examples that have that eh sound. Tête, tête. Pêche, pêche. Fête, fête. Rêve, rêve. Let's go again. Tête, tête. Pêche, pêche. Fête, fête. Rêve, rêve. So you get it? Now let's have a look at when it's combined, when that letter E or E is combined with some consonants. That's our next scenario. Okay, let's take one letter. Let's take the letter N. So E-N or E-N. In French, it's pronounced on. On. Has a nasal sound. On. On. So some of the common examples in this category would be dans. Dans. Font. Font. Monte. Monte. Pont. Pont. You get it now? Let's go over it again. Dans. Dans. Font. Font. Monte. Monte. And finally, pont. Pont. You got the sound? So EN is on. 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 Dans. Font. Monte. Pont. Good. You're following. Now, let's have a look at when this letter E is followed by consonants. Double consonants or two consonants. Now, I'm saying double or two. Double and two are not always the same. So, for instance, a double consonant is a consonant being repeated like LL, TT, RR. That's a double consonant. But two consonants will be like RS, LT. So, let's get that clear. So, we'll look at, in the case of a double consonant or two consonants, this sound is air, air, like the sound with the accent grave on it. Same sound. Let's have a look at a few examples in this category. Vert, vert. We have the double R, that's a double consonant. Vert, it has the sound of air. Vert, vert. Pelle, pelle. Double L, double consonant. Sel, sel. Double L, double consonant. Debt, debt. So you get it? But there are a few exceptions in this category. Like in more than one syllable, if you have more than one syllable, this sound changes to E, like in the case of accent aigu, E accent aigu. Let's have a look at a word like erreur, erreur. You see, it's not, you may be tempted to say erreur, erreur, because it has the double R, but it's more than one syllable. It goes back to the sound of E, just in the case of E accent aigu. So it's erreur. Tu as fait une erreur. You get it? Same with another derivative of error in terms of sound. Terreur. Terreur. C'est une terreur. You shouldn't be tempted to say erreur. Let's take a little test to see how you go with the pronunciation of the letter E in French. Too easy. You won't miss this. Let's go. Now this one. How do you say it? You have 5 seconds to answer. I'll count mentally to 5. It's pronounced règle. Règle. So that final E is as if it doesn't exist at all. We will only pronounce the final E if it had an accent on it. So accent grave has the sound of E, so that's why I said règle. Règle. So that gl sound you're hearing is just a GL. That E is non-existent in terms of pronunciation. You get it? One more. Now this one is a combination of 2 sounds that we studied today. Count to 5, go for it. This one is pronounced élève. Élève. You have E accent aigu and you have E accent grave. So it's élève. Élève. You got it right? Another one. Count to 5. Ciment. Ciment. Remember the sound of EN in French? It's on. So from an English-speaking background, you may be tempted to say N, like ciment. Cement. You may even pronounce the final consonant cement. But no. EN in French is on. So it's ciment. Ciment. And that final T, final consonants, are not usually pronounced in French, so we just say ciment. Ciment. That's correct. Let's have a go at another one. I'll count up to 5. This word is pronounced terre. Terre. We said before, if it has a double consonant or 2 consonants before it, it has to sound like in the case of E accent grave. So terre. Terre. One last one and then that's it for today. How do you pronounce this one? I'll count up to 5. Espèce. Espèce. Now remember when I told you about the case of double consonants and 2 consonants? This is the case of 2 consonants, not double. So 2 consonants, double consonants, E has the sound of E, like in E accent grave. So this word is pronounced espèce. Espèce. So E-E-S-P is S, and then because of that downward sloping accent grave, we have the sound of E on E, so it's espèce. And then I said it was going to be the last one, but let me just give you this last one instead. I'll count up to 5. Jean. Jean. So that S is not pronounced as well. It's Jean. Jean. Do you get it? Now, this will help you in your pronunciation, because pronunciation in any language is very important, because if you get it wrong, you may be saying something totally different and the person you're speaking to may misunderstand you. So it helps with good language skills involves pronunciation as well. So thank you, bonne journée, au revoir et à bientôt.